Hi everyone, time for some more Telemann. We've looked at two of the movements from the A minor sonata in previous videos. We've looked at both of the quick movements, but we've got both of the slow movements still to go. And I think it's easy to consider the quicker movements to be the harder ones, more difficult to play, because you've got less time to get round, you've got more notes to fit in, you've got more fingering to worry about, and just generally they're a bit more stressful than the slow movements where you've got more time to think. But I think the slow movements, precisely because you've got more time to think and fewer notes with which to fill in the gaps, each of those notes becomes more critical than perhaps the ones in passages where you've got plenty of stuff happening. So the shape kind of takes care of itself. What about the slow movements where we've got lots of long notes or lots of strings of crotchets that, if we're not careful, they just sort of plod along and don't really tell us any kind of story? So, general rule of mine, and this applies to everything you play, not just to slow movements, I think you have to have a reason to play every single note. You can't just play a note because that's what it says next on the page. You need to know precisely what that note is there for. Is it going somewhere? Is it coming back from somewhere? Is it waiting for the next thing to happen? Is it the thing, so it needs to happen? Is it one that's just tailing away at the end of something, or is it announcing the arrival of something else, or what? So every single note you play has to have a reason for being there, and you've got to know what its purpose is, and that will help you to work out the shape for each and every one, whether they're long, short, high, low, or what. So I think the opening of this is the first movement of the A minor, and it's a great example of exactly that. So you've got three dotted minims. But I think they should have totally different shapes to each other. So I think the first one, its purpose in life is to get you to the second one. And the second one is a long way away, it's higher, and it's somehow just got much more drama to it. If you do that by just saying, well, I'll play the first note at a kind of middling volume, and I'll play the second note louder because it's more important, and then I'll play the third note less because it's lower, you've got a sort of a shape. It's just not a very subtle one. So you need to use that first note so that it grows in complete anticipation of the second one being what's going to follow. So you need to be really ready for that to go somewhere and really disappointed if actually what it does is stay where it was to start with. So what am I doing? I'm using the middle finger on the bow to add weight, to add tension onto the hair as I'm growing the dynamic of that first note, and I'm moving slightly nearer the bridge so that A grows, and just at the peak you start that top F in a much fuller sound. But then what happens to this? After all that effort, just kind of runs out of steam. So you start out, climb a long way, and then sit down for a bit of a rest. Look at how much bow gets used per dotted minim. They last the same length in duration, but totally different shape and totally different amount of bow for each one. Let's try it together. You have to, when you do these things, you have to run some risks when you shape long notes. So as you grow that A, the most dramatic sound is just before that happens. But you're never going to know where that dramatic sound is unless you have occasionally dared to pass through it into the horrible sound that's on the other side. Because the best bit is just before that happens, and if you never step over the line, you're never quite sure where the line is. So you grow your note to the full, and you start the back bow with your fullest, most glorious sound. Come right away at the end, and relax onto there. Here we go, I'll count your crotchets in. So we're 4, 5, 6, 2, 3. Now what? So we're in a small place, aren't we? After we've had this excitement, I think we could stay there, but we're going for a bit of a walk. So in those first 3 crotchets, I've used gradually more bow per crotchet, and I've put gradually more pressure on with this finger. I haven't got enormous and kind of out of control. It's still got, I think it's quite a contained thing. It's quite a contained key. It's quite a, it's not a very exuberant line. So I don't want to go too far or paint too big a picture. I think the whole thing is quite small, but within it, you can really vary the shape of those crotchets. So there's the rise, here's the fall, but in the middle of that bar, there's quite an interesting chord, as opposed to the one at the start of the next bar. So if you come away too much, this B is going to be a nothing, or it's going to be a cause of seasickness where every half bar has a weight on it and you just start to feel a bit queasy. So what are we going to do about that? We'll rise here, we'll fall, but we'll use this A to just make sure we can give the B plenty of sound. And then here, after all that effort, after all those crotchets, the last one we play is the same pitch as the one we started on. Haven't gone anywhere at all. So I think the last 4 can just come away. So I'm using really different lengths of bow per crotchet. Some of it directed by pitch and some of it directed by harmony. Let's play together from the beginning. Just see if we can paint a really convincing shape. So we're 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, rest. Now what? It's exactly the same shape as the previous crotchets painted, but harmonically, major key, much kind of sunnier disposition, higher in pitch, but also totally different in character to this. What a difference this is going to make. So I think you you can play that second set of crotchets just out a bit more, partly because it's higher. And here, what a great note. You're allowed to smile as you play it. I'm using more bow, I'm just making slightly more sound. So if the first set, just a bit more. Lots of bow. Still comes away at the end, but it came away from something much bigger. Shall we try that from the end of 4? Let's go from the last 2 crotchets. Just go for a free sound. Plenty of bow. Don't be too careful about it. Be a bit joyful. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's string it together from the top. Here we go. 4, 5, 6. Grow through. Fall away. Start small. Look after the B. And just fall away. A bit more. Lots of bow. It's beautiful, isn't it? I really love the beginning of this. Now what? I love this B. Have you got a bass line to hand? And particularly, have you got a figured bass to hand? There are some really useful numbers in here. So, irrespective of whether or not you understand figured bass, as a general principle, the more numbers there are written under a chord, the more interesting the harmony is likely to be, because the more things the player needs to know about. So, if you're looking for interesting harmony, you're looking for things like 7, because you know that's going to be a dissonant chord, or 9, or 4 followed by 3, you know that's going to be a suspension that then resolves. But if a chord just has a whole string of numbers written under it, you know that there's going to be all sorts of interesting harmony in there. And on the downbeat of bar 7, you've got a 6, a 4 and a 3 under the same bass note. I can't quite play all of those at the same time, but you know it's going to be an interesting harmony. And it comes right on the last beat of that tied long B. So that should tell you something about the shape of that note. That the most interesting harmonic part of it is likely to be where all of those numbers are on the bar line. So if you have used all of your bow in the minim at the end of the previous bar, that's going to be a bit of a shame if your sound disappears right at the most critical moment. So you're going to need to distribute your bow really carefully, so that you've got plenty of it left and you've got plenty of weight at the end of that note. It's no longer than the first 3 dotted minims we played at the beginning of the piece, so there's no risk that you're going to run out. But it's just worth being really sure that you haven't used 3/4 of it at the beginning of the note, because the most interesting bit is at the end. So you need to grow that B. And after all that effort, once again, it tries really hard to go somewhere. Doesn't get very far, does it? right back to where we started. And try again. Failed again, but here, then it makes it. So these first couple, they don't go anywhere. Try again. Make the most of this. What a great interval. If you tail that one away, you lose all the drama of the augmented fourth in there. And then it just comes away and waits to see what is going to happen next. So the high point of this is bar 8, the F natural, but the way you approach it has the potential to be really dramatic. Also has the potential to be very matter of fact and not say anything at all. So I'm doing the whole thing with weight from this finger to make important notes weighty and what I think of as colourful, so notes that have got a real body to them, a real connection to the string. And then notes where I'm just very relaxed with this finger and the sound is much less intense. And now I've got more effort coming from my ring finger to take the pressure off than I have from the middle finger to put it on. Here we go. Don't pull the rhythm about that much, but that's the general shape and contour of it. Let's play together from bar 6 from the tied minim at the end of the bar. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Back to the beginning. Here we are, right at the tip. Such a dramatic opening. This time, the first note, of course it leads to the second, it has to. But instead of falling away to something slightly mournful after it, what is this? What a great interval. So you work your way up here, but keep it. Yeah, don't miss the drama between there Then what are you going to do? Keeping right on absolute tenterhooks now as to what's going to happen next, because you haven't let the pressure up. So the rest is not a chance to just stop and do nothing. It's a really active rest. It's full of suspense and expectation because of the way you've played this. And that is back to that just slightly mournful after all that hard-working drama at the beginning. It's just got that slightly melancholic turn to it again. So such different things to say in the first 4 bars of that second section. Let's try that together. Second section, 4, 5, 6. Grow up here, but keep it right through to the rest. And now, that was a lot of effort. Didn't really go very far. Fall away at the end. It's not got the same minor turn to it. It's a much more contented place to be, isn't it, G major? But it's still a relaxing, just a slightly warmer relaxing than the bits, that one. They've just got different shapes, haven't they? And then here we are back at notes that are tied across bar lines, always a good opportunity to grow things. Here we are again. Set up this time one that didn't go anywhere. Set out again. It's gone somewhere, but it's just quite innocently stepped down a bit. But then you think, okay, surely this is going to do the same, but this much more interesting place to be. So you've got to make something of the B flat. This is in 19. That's, and again, if you do it just by featuring that note when you get there, it's going to come as one heck of a shock and a not very well prepared and not very pleasant shock. So you've got to prepare it in the previous note. Make sure that that crotchet A leads smoothly and seamlessly, but very intensely into the B flat. And as if that wasn't enough, what an outrageous note! There being outlined a note at a time. Really important that you hold as many fingers down as you can. So you are actually building up the chord. You're not just playing this note and then this note and then this note, but you're playing the chord, you're just playing it a note at a time. Make plenty of the F at the top. Make plenty of the fact that it's got that plaintive fall away at the end. And after all that, the most dramatic moment is there. So So however much you've given to whichever crotchets beforehand, you've got to have something left to make it up there, for not just the top A, but for the G sharp to absolutely lead into it. So the shapes of those crotchets are so different to each other. If we look, let's just backtrack a bit, let's go from the end of 16. So I'm starting and growing, and I'm trying again. Haven't really gone anywhere. This crotchet into that one, and then this. Yeah. And then what drama? And after all of that, it's alright folks, it's an A minor, just a standard A minor cadence. So don't make too much of the end. Having made such a dramatic thing up there, you can't keep it, I don't think. If you play too much, too full and too much of the story, too much of the time, you lose the impact of the really crucial moments. So having made it, enjoy it, but then yeah, not quite so dramatic at the end. Should we play that together? This is the end of 16. So we're going from the last minim of the bar right at the tip, otherwise you will run out of bow. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, tie. It's got such stories to tell, hasn't it? But with so few notes. So it's completely down to you to shape every single one of them in a way that has me, as the listener, hanging on the edge of my seat. Let's play the whole of the second section. 4, 5, 6. We'll play the whole thing through. I'm going to play you the continuo part, which is actually really helpful, because if you look right back at the very beginning where we said we were going to grow this first note, start big and come away, the bass line does that, but it has way more notes than you do. So it can shape that line by and taking back its crotchets. You have to do it. Within the shape of the long notes. I'll play you a bass line. We'll do both repeats, shall we? It's always good to get a second chance at these things, and you could add all sorts of beautiful ornamentation in the second time round. I'll count you in. 4, 5, 6.